In this video, I'm going to demonstrate some adaptive ideas for practicing volleyball skills and adaptive ways to modify the game to play volleyball for children using walkers or wheelchairs. For this first modification, I have the PVC structure here. You can also use anything else that's relatively raised up high enough above the student. That way you can tie either a balloon or place a drawstring bag and hang it from it and put a lighter ball, not necessarily a volleyball yet, in that bag. That way the student can practice their skills from there. For me, right now, I'm going to place the seat down, since this walker has a seat, just for demonstration purposes for the height. But if the student is shorter, or if the PVC structure that you have or wherever you're tying the balloon or the drawstring bag from is higher than this, then they can stay standing. They can also stay standing if they have good enough trunk control, standing balance, to perform these types of activities. Also with the safety concern, having someone, either the PE teacher or the paraprofessional, standing near them for safety. But right now, and for me, and if the student needs it, they can place the seat down, come up and sit down right at the structure here. Adjust our balloon so we have it in front of the student. And then from here, they can go ahead and start practicing specific volleyball skills. So right now I'll demonstrate the 3 different types of hits: the set, the spike, and bump. So here is the set. Here's the spike. And then to demonstrate the bump, all you can do is just lower down the balloon or the drawstring bag. Now that I have the balloon lowered enough to where it's in a good position to where if you were to be playing the game, this is the type of range where the ball or balloon or whatever you're using would be to then use the bump type of a hit. So now that it's low enough, the student, again, sitting in the walker, making sure that they have an adult nearby. That way they're not leaning too far forwards, but then have them go ahead and just practice bumping the balloon. And again, the balloon is good for practicing these types of skills with these types of students. That way it allows for a longer reaction time, so the ball is not coming right back at them. Okay, so the same modifications go for the students who are sitting down using the walker, applied to the students who use wheelchairs. The only thing is just making sure, safety concerns, making sure their wheels are locked once they're in position, making sure their lap belt is fastened if they have one, and then they can go ahead, if they have good upper extremity control, to bring the ball or balloon, whichever, in front of them. If not, they can also have a paraprofessional or the gym teacher or even another student help maneuver the balloon for them. And then they can go ahead and practice the different skills, the different types of hits. And then if they need someone to lower the balloon or ball down, and they can go ahead and do that for them. And then they can go ahead and practice the rest. So another easy way to practice skills before progressing to playing a game or trying this over a modified net would be to just set up some colored targets on the floor and have the student practice their skills of how they hit the ball before to hitting them to these targets. So again, have the student come walk up to a designated spot, and then if they're able to, if they have good standing balance, good upper extremity use, and good trunk control, they can go ahead and stand within their walker with an adult next to them for safety and go ahead and practice hitting the ball to one of the targets. Now, if one ball is a little difficult, I also have a lighter multicolored ball, and I also have a balloon. This way, the student can practice the skill without the heaviness of the ball hitting their forearm, and that way it'll be easier to set up for them initially, to hold, and then practice their motion for whichever hit they're going to practice. So I can now go ahead and demonstrate another variation with the balloon. Also, another modification for this is to use different colored balls, different sizes, different weights, or even balloons. The balloons will be probably the easiest for the student to control and to hit. If the student needs to be sitting down and their walker has a seat, it can always be lowered. Have them come and sit. Provide them with either the balloon or one of the other balls that you may have that's easier to hit than a volleyball, and then allow them to go ahead and practice hitting at one of the targets that you have laid out on the floor here. For wheelchair users, not much changes from those students who would be sitting down with their walker. Just make sure their wheels are locked and their safety belt is fastened. And if they need assistance with the ball or being pushed to a designated spot, have an adult or another student help them with that. If not, they can use their arms and they can propel their wheelchair on their own. They can keep the ball in their lap if they're able to. Just make sure that that safety belt's fastened again, and then those wheels are locked once they do get into the position before they start hitting the ball at the targets. Here again, I have the balloon, and then if the student is able to, with good upper extremity and trunk control, they can go ahead and practice all the different types of volleyball hits at one of these targets. So here I have set up another variation of the target practice. The student can use the box here, or it can be a laundry basket or anything that can catch and secure the ball once the student hits it. That way they can practice their volleyball skills aiming at a target, and then they won't have to go chase down or retrieve a ball. It'll just be right there in the basket. Again, an adult or another student can go ahead and get the ball, pick it up for them, and bring it back to them. That way they can keep practicing their skills. So here I have a balloon to start out with. It'll probably be the easiest for the student to control and begin learning to hit the ball to the target. Other options are lighter and multicolored balls. That way they're also still easily able to be seen. Doesn't just have to be a balloon. Again, the only thing with a volleyball would be it still might be a little too big and a little too hard to hit. If the student needs to sit down for this, if they don't have good upper extremity control to toss the ball up and hit it themselves, if they don't have the trunk support to be able to control themselves while they're standing, or if they don't have good enough static standing balance, we can always lower their seat if they have one on the walker, allow them to sit down, and then provide them with the ball. And then they can go ahead and practice their volleyball hitting skills from this position at the target. For wheelchair users, make sure their wheels are locked and their safety belt is fastened if they have one. If they have good upper extremity and trunk control, they can go ahead and practice their volleyball hitting skills at the target. If they need some assistance with upper extremity control, if they're unable to hold the ball themselves prior to initiating the hit, they can also have an adult stand next to them and hold the ball lightly. That way it can be hit out of their hands and into the target. So just like in my tennis video, my net here is made from 2 chairs and a pool noodle. The pool noodle is easy to visualize for the camera. It can also be easy to see for the student as well, and it doesn't provide a huge space for the student to cover. Another way to set up the net is use either a rope or a bed sheet if you have either. For students with this particular skill level, a lower net would be most beneficial for them to practice the skills. And if they are playing either one-on-one or with a small team of classmates, it would also be beneficial for everyone to be on the floor sitting. That way the level of competition is fair and the net being at the height that it is at would be easy for everyone to hit the ball over. Okay, cutting. Just trying to think of how I want to explain this. So for hitting the ball over the net, just make sure prior to initiating the activity, make sure their wheels are locked and that their safety belt is fastened, as well as their footrests either being on the foot plates, or if they have good lower extremity control, they can swing the foot plates out or remove them, that way they're not in the way. Provide the student with the ball if they just don't have that in their lap already, and then allow them to position themselves accordingly to then hit the ball over the net to the other side.